Right, ladies and gentlemen, next we have Dr. Nishan Jayasundara, the product of IIM and also a member of the European Society for Medical Oncology. Over the years, he has attended and presented at numerous international symposium on onco care with emphasis on role of Ayurvedic medicines. And today, he's going to talk about the role of Rasashastra in the management of cancer in the next 15 to 20 minutes. Please welcome Dr. Nishan Jayasundara.
Good evening, everybody. 9.6 million people died last year out of cancer. Now we have a lot of early detection centers, modern diagnostics, but amidst all that, the prevalence of cancer within the last year was 17 million. So why is it becoming such a burden to the whole world? Now here, you can see this was a paper presented in the year 2000 by Hanahan and Weinberg, which tries to explain some of the physiology behind cancer, which makes it difficult to treat, actually. And also this provides all the ground for therapeutic targets as well. As you can see, it makes its own blood vessels and through angiogenesis, and it's kind of immortal because you see that it evades apoptosis. But let me show you, 3,000 years ago, Sushrutācārya has explained it in a more deeper sense. Nāpāka māyanti kapādikatvān medo bahutvācha visheshasastu doshas tiratvad. Right? Now, few things here. Kapādikatvān. There's an abundance of copper or some preponderance of copper. Medo bahutvācha. There's an increase of medas also. Doshas tiratvat grathanācha. Now, what are the doshas involved in cancer? Here we are talking about Arbuda, but anyway, all the doshas, Vātena, Pittena, Kapena, Chapi, and he goes on, Raktena, Mansena, Medasancha. So, but here the interesting fact is, all the doshas, Vata, Pitta and Kapha, they are in a Gratanacha, they are in a knotted state, right? In a very immobile state. So we need something sharp to break through this stagnant state, right? So through that, we can get this, we can learn a little about the nature of cancer from this text. The preponderance of copper, accumulated medas, immobilized or the static or knotted state of the doshas. And further he explains about the afflicted mamsa and rakta as well. So here another thing I want to mention is that although I am taking Arbuda as just to explain and justify why Rasashastra this can be used here, you should not forget that throughout the text you can actually find a lot of diseases and some sannipataja avastha where it correlates with cancer, right? Some udara rogas and some other sannipataja avastha. So, but here, again, if you go back to this state, a very static, a very immobile state. So you need something razor sharp to break through this. Now, do we have a tool like that? Let me show you a few things. One of the paryaya, or the synonym used for parada, I'm showing you a few here. Rasanath, it has the ability to penetrate into other lauhas, right? Yogavahi, it can penetrate into minute tissues, minute channels. And Chapali is also one of the synonyms. So this shaking, right, quality, quick, swift. These are qualities that we might need to break through this stagnancy. And Shilajit. Again, if you go through these, the properties, the attributes of Shilajit, Tikta Katukang, Kashayanu Rasam Saram, right? Now this looks like the perfect attributes to break through that kapha, medas accumulation. And further it says, Shoshanam, Chedanam, and Meda Chedakaram, right? It can even extirpate medas. And in the end, Sushruta Samhita says, Naso asti rogam. Now, there's no disease that you cannot cure by using Shiladijit. So, now I have just taken these two Rasaushadhi only, but if you analyze all the other Rasaushadhis, even the compound drugs, you see it has this sukshmatva, it has this fine and lagu, all the other attributes that you need to break through the stagnancy that we were studying a little ago on cancer, right? So you see on the left, this nature of cancer, the kapha, abundance, medas, and immobilized and knotted doshas. And then we have this katu, the pungent taste, and all these other attributes which can kind of break through that stagnancy to overcome the problem. Good. Now we have some tactics. But is this enough? Is this enough to treat cancer? If I say that, I'll be like this. Now why is it so difficult, cancer treatment? Why does it recur even after remission sometimes? Can you just treat a systemic disease like cancer just with a single drug? Now let's dig in a little bit more deeper, right, into the illness. Now here, this is the tumor that you can see, that is tangible, that you can see with the MRI, or sometimes if it is a non-solid tumor, then maybe with the blood chemistry or anything. But in the manifestation of this tumor, now if you think about the nidana, right, whether it's stress or whether it's the toxins or many other causes which we already know, like asbestos or smoking, all these things, pollution, right, they create a huge imbalance in the body. And that manifests into the tumor. So if you just concentrate on the tumor itself, that's not enough. That's what most of the conventional therapies do. And that's why it recurs, because the causative factors are still inside the body. Actually, what we see is just the result of this illness. Right? So unless we access these roots and try to take it away, you can't think of a complete cure. So what can we do? First of all, yes, nidana parivarjanam, but to restore the balance, to restore that imbalance that is caused in the system, there has to be some things that we have to do, right? Yes, Shodhana. Now, I intentionally put this picture. You can see this guy, he's cleaning with a lot of effort. And the same thing we had to do in cancer. If you do Shodhana in other illnesses, I would say in cancer, you had to do it more vigorously and repeatedly. Because there's a lot of imbalance, there's a lot of toxins in the body which you need to remove. Right? But it becomes a challenge because most of the time, the patients, they are not in such a good state where you could do some vireka, like a very drastic purgative or any other drastic Shodhana karmas would be difficult to do in 90% of the patients. But still, it's a must. If it is not possible, then what you can do is, like, you do light shodhana and then maybe you do some rasayana, but then again you have to come to shodhana. This is the most important step, I would say, in the treatment of cancer. Okay, now 10 years later, the same scientists, they published another paper because they saw that there was some things missing in the physiology of that they explained in the previous paper. So again, Hanahan and Weinberg, I would like you to concentrate on one thing. I don't know if you can see that, but it says evasion of the immune system. Now, Jim Allison, I met him in 2015. Only the day after I got to know that in the conference that he was a leading scientist from the MD Anderson. And I remember one of the concluding remarks of this conference was, sometimes in cancer, it's better to let the body take care of it than we interfering. Last year, he won the Nobel Prize. But let me tell you again, many thousands of years ago, Maharishi Dhanvantari has told the same thing, in better words actually. Rakshod balanchapi narasya nityam tadrakshitang vyadi balang nihanti. The strength and the immunity of the patient should always be maintained as it overcomes, as it reduces the intensity of the illness. Now you might say, okay, this is something that you can, of course, apply in any illness. Yes, you can. But Shrutacharya wrote this exactly on the Granthi Arbuda Chikitsa Adhyaya. Now if you go home and open Granthi Arbuda Chikitsa Adhyaya in Sushruta Samhita, you will see in the beginning of the chapter, he starts by saying this golden saying. Okay, now we have a combined strategy. Elimination or the Shodhana therapies and immunomodulating drugs or immune enhancing ones. Now, we talked several in the previous speakers, they talked about many actually. And Rasashastra or other herbal mineral compounds which acts as anti-cancerous medicines. But here, another thing to note is that I told you that some of the illnesses, they do correlate with some other illnesses explained in the text, which is not Arbuda, right? So in such cases, you have to follow the Chikitsa Sutra of that relevant illness. Always follow the basics. That's the rule. But, okay, now we have all these strategies and tactics. But does this really work? That's the big question. Because otherwise we could formulate a lot of concepts and go on, but if it doesn't make any benefit to the patient at the end of the day, it doesn't do any good. Yes, it does work. I remember handling my first patient when I was doing my internship 5 years ago in 2014. And 2 years later, she got healed, and this was presented in the World Cancer Congress. And that's what we have been doing for the last 5 years, implementing these concepts and these theories, which I just spoke to you a little ago. Right? It really works, but with varying prognosis, I must say, but it's worth trying. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, and that was quite swift in wrapping up. Thank you very much, Dr. Nishan Jayasundara, and would like to call upon once more Dr. W.M.B. Veerasurya, one of the co-chairs, to present Dr. Nishan Jayasundara with this special token of appreciation.